Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you're doing well. And today I thought I would talk about Luminar Neo. I'm excited about the product, which is coming out sometime this winter. I don't have a date yet, but I wanted to answer some questions that I get and kind of re-emphasize some of the things that are coming because, I get emails and direct messages and things like that, which is cool. I love interacting with folks around this stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's interesting to me, and of course I'm excited about this product. So I thought I would chat a little bit about Neo and basically discuss what we know so far. Let's get into it. You may know they're still in a pre-order period. The special pricing ends on November 17th. So if you haven't got it yet, there's a link down below. That is an affiliate link. They pay me a referral commission for using my link, which is great support for me, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. So if you use that, great. And if you don't, use somebody's link. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps out folks like myself that are creating content around this product. Secondly, I've also got a link to my newsletter. Sign up down below. I share news and upcoming information like that via my newsletter, which usually goes out about once a month unless there's a lot of news happening. So feel free to subscribe if you're interested. You can see the price here. It's honestly very inexpensive. There are other products that have come out that are quite a bit more than this, and considering everything that I think you're going to get in Neo, feels like a bargain to me. One of the things I get still is, hey, what's Neo? How is it different than Luminar 4? And this is not an exhaustive list, but basically it takes the best parts of Luminar 4, layers, the ability to reuse tools, adds in the best parts of Luminar AI, which is all the AI tools like, accent AI, sky replacement, some of the portrait stuff, and it sticks them together in Luminar Neo. So I think of it as like Luminar 5 AI Pro. I mean, that's not the term for it, but that's kind of what I think of. If you look on the left-hand side, this is a list of the stuff that's in Luminar Neo that is going over to Luminar AI. Augmented Sky AI, which allows you to add objects like balloons or giraffes or whatever to your photos. That's not coming, but that doesn't matter because it would be redundant because you do have layers and overlays, so it's basically the same thing. So effectively, you're not losing that tool, and all the other ones are coming over. One tool, however, that's not listed here that I don't know the answer to yet is Composition AI. I don't know if it's coming over or if they're doing it differently. I just haven't seen it on any list. So that's a question I have. I'm trying to find out. Lots of new stuff. Relight AI, Mask AI, Dust Removal, and Line Removal AI. You've got Portrait Background Removal AI. You got layers with overlays as well. You got a Luminar Share app. There's a new engine, which I'm going to make a couple of guesses about a little bit later in the video. So let's keep going. Relight AI, this is going to be cool stuff. It uses their 3D depth mapping, which they've had for a while. Atmosphere AI and Portrait Bokeh AI both use that depth mapping to recognize the foreground and the background and intuitively separate them. And it's going to allow you to adjust the light separately in the foreground or background. And therefore, you're going to be able to basically customize the appearance of light in your photo. It's really cool, and I'm excited about this because I'm always doing that, except I've got to do it with masking and brushes and things like that. This is going to give me more control more quickly. And to be clear, this is not Accent AI. This is different. This is using 3D depth mapping technology, and it's focused just on the light, whereas Accent AI does light and contrast and saturation and things like that. So this is all about adjusting the light in the scene separately from the foreground and background. I'm excited. I think it's going to be very powerful. This is not a screenshot. You've heard me say that in previous videos, but you're going to see Relight AI will be a tool. It's going to have various sliders. I don't know if these are the sliders, but you're going to be able to do that adjustment that I've talked about, giving you lots of control over the photo. Mask AI, this might be the tool that I'm most excited about. If you've seen any of my recent videos about Lightroom, they recently came out with AI masking, and it does subject and sky detection, and it's really good, and I'm excited about that, and I haven't been excited about Lightroom in a long time, to be honest. But this Mask AI sounds like it's going to be that plus more on steroids, basically. So this is it's basically depth mapping and context-aware masking, and it's basically going to be able to identify lots of different things in your photo and automatically and automagically, if you will, create a mask for them. This is going to make things simpler and quicker, and frankly, that's what I like about Luminar and the Skylum team. They push the boundaries in terms of what you can do, because when I started editing photos, 10, 12 years ago, I was reading things and people were talking about masking and layers, and honestly, I was afraid of it. I thought I was going to blow up my computer, ruin everything. It's just so intimidating sounding. And now I'm comfortable with it after all these years, and it's not a big deal to me. But I'm sure, plenty of people that are kind of intimidated by these kind of things. And it always used to seem to me like if you knew this kind of stuff, you had this knowledge and you kind of protected it because it made you different, or maybe you thought you were better because you knew more about things. And I just don't think that way. I like that they're democratizing these tools and giving more power to more people and making it more accessible. I think that's awesome. It's going to give more people more access to better tools and be able to get better photo edits. And what's wrong with that? I applaud that. I think it's awesome. And frankly, I think this kind of stuff is what's causing Adobe to come out with updates to Lightroom and creates other things that other products are doing around masking and other complicated edits and making them easier. I'm excited. So getting a little off topic, that's a little bit of a philosophical debate, but lots of power, lots of AI stuff. And as I understand it, it's going to be a free update in 2022. I don't know when, but it says early 2022. That's the last I've heard. So it probably won't be at launch, but we'll have it soon. A sample here, again, not a screenshot. You kind of get the point. Here's a visual they sent me where you can see it isolated the house, basically the human structure, except for that fence, but it isolated the house and a little bit of the house on the side. And this is exactly how I would use it, because I would go in and create a mask around that, and I would probably add some sort of texture, not texture, but structure or detail to that, maybe some lighting adjustments, and it's going to mask it for me. So it's going to save me time. I'm a guy that likes to edit photos, and I love spending time editing photos. If I can do more quicker, I'm all for it. Portrait background removal. Human aware AI is already there, right? This is basically taking it a step further. So you've already got portrait bokeh AI. This is the same kind of thing. It's taking that background and saying, okay, that's the background of the portrait, and I'm going to allow you to remove it. And because they have layers, which we'll talk about in a minute, you're going to be able to just do interesting and cool things, swapping out the backgrounds. In the past, when I've wanted to do that, even for some of my thumbnails that I use for these YouTube videos where I might be in there giving a thumbs up or pointing at something, I have to use other products to go remove the background, and then I make various edits, etc., and got to combine it using various products. I'll be able to do all that in Luminar, which I'm excited about. And again, removing complicated masking process, giving us power, democratizing these high-end editing skills and making it easier for more people. I love it. Again, this one is supposed to also be a free update in early 2022. Here's a new visual they sent me. You can see a guy shot in some kind of interior kind of thing, and instead he's placed out on the street. I think it looks nice. And also what's cool is I'm assuming you're going to be able to combine these tools, so I could then go use portrait tools to adjust him if I wanted to, and do lighting, and with the Relight AI, lots of different options. So I think the ability to be creative with Luminar Neo is going to be unparalleled. I think we're going to have so many creative tools. It's just going to be a lot of fun. Dust removal AI automatically detecting and removing spots. I think, but I don't know, but I think this will be a component of the erase tool. It kind of indicates that here in the graphic, but I just kind of think that it makes sense. It's an erase function, just like the power line removal AI, which we'll talk about in a second. But my hope is it's going to be in the erase tool, and you'll be able to go in and erase things, but then also you can just do a one click and erase spots, but then also go, and if it misses a spot or you see something else, you'll be able to go in and use the eraser. This is me guessing. I don't know for sure, but it does say there's manual controls to refine it, and they're still offering erase and clone and stamp. So I think that's how it's going to work. You've seen this example before. I mean, honestly, it just looks great. Line removal, same thing as dust removal. I think it's also going to be a component of the erase tool, but I don't know for sure. It just seems logical that it would be. And I'm guessing, and again, some of this is based on this graphic, but I'm guessing you'll have a button you can click and it'll take the power lines out. We'll find out soon enough. But for me, this is something where I've had challenges in the past where it's honestly just so hard. I give up and either don't edit the photo and therefore don't share it, or I just leave the power lines in. I'm now going to be able to clean up these cityscapes, and this is a person right here. I love to shoot in cities. There are power lines in cities. I mean, I shoot in cities all the time, and there's often power lines in my photos. I'm excited about that, being able to just automatically be done. Layers, multiple images, including raw files, blend modes, masking, opacity, lots of different options here, lots of power, lots of control, an exciting feature, bringing that functionality back from Luminar 4 because it was not in Luminar AI, and now adding it into Neo. That's what I'm talking about, getting the best out of Luminar 4. One of the best things was, of course, layers, and adding that in Neo is just a big deal, I think. I'm excited about it. There's so many powerful things that you can do with this in terms of composite images and all that, but also just, creative edits for, portraits or whatever it might be. Also combining this with masking, so brushes and radials and gradients. And we don't know about luminosity masking. I think it's coming, but I don't know for sure. But I'm hoping that they get luminosity masking back because it's powerful and obviously certainly useful. And I think, frankly, this is a pro level tool, even though it has all these AI tools in it that simplify masking for you. Luminar Neo is a pro level tool in terms of the results. You've seen these kind of graphics before. I won't bore you with that. And a component of this will be overlays where they're going to include a built-in collection of them, basically an object library. And that's why I said the augmented sky AI is not coming over as augmented sky AI, but with the built-in overlays, it's basically the same thing. You can also add your own library of content. And then we talked about Luminar Share as well in the past, and basically being able to sync photos from your mobile device into Luminar Neo and back and forth for easy sharing. This is going to be great for me because it simplifies my process. And this will be a separate app, but it's not mobile editing, it's mobile sharing. Take the photo with, let's say, your iPhone 12 or 13 Pro. You've got RAW files now, Apple Pro RAW, which is awesome, by the way. You can share those photos directly with Neo, do your edits in Neo, and share them back to your phone, and then put them on Instagram, for example. I think this is going to be a time saver for people. I'm excited about it. Okay, the last few things. One of the things I wanted to talk about is this is just a cut and paste from their Q&A. If you haven't read their Q&A, I recommend kind of going through that. But I'm excited. It says here, a powerful module-based engine. This is where we make some guesses about the future. I don't know what that means, to be clear, and they have not told me what that means in terms of incorporating new technologies, as it says here. But I feel like that allows them to say, oh, you can have Luminar Neo. You want, I don't know, HDR, time-lapse, focus stacking. Maybe there's a module that you can stick in and just add that functionality. I don't know. Again, they haven't said that to me. I'm just guessing, and do not hold me to this. I'm just completely guessing. But it kind of makes, intuitively, it makes sense that if you have this module-based engine, you can go get that module, whether you license technology from somebody, or in the case of HDR, they already have Aurora HDR, which is amazing. Can they just take a version of that and stick it in as a module? I don't know. These are future things that we're going to find out, but that's why I'm excited about this new engine. I just think it's going to be really cool. But you always have control, and as it says down here, lots of possibilities to expand because of the layers and all that. Will third-party plugins be supported? In other words, Luminar Neo will work as a plugin from like Lightroom or Photoshop or Apple Photos or Microsoft Photos. It will work as a plugin from those as a host app over to Neo. But what I'm talking about here is Neo is your host app, and can you use third-party plugins from Neo? So start in Neo and go to some other app for some other thing. It says right now Photoshop style plugins are not expected to be included, but because of the new engine and the layers workflow, that support is possible. So fingers crossed. And if you haven't given them feedback that you would like this, please do. I ask for this kind of stuff all the time. I'm absolutely excited about this as a possibility because I already use Luminar AI most of the time as a standalone app. I expect to use Neo standalone. And if I can use Neo standalone and then go to other apps for third-party plugin functionality that's not in Neo, that's a big win for me. So I'm excited about that as a possibility. It is non-destructive. It works with RAW files, all those kind of things. But again, favoring upcoming innovations, easier for us to integrate new creative features into the product seamlessly. That's cool. I don't know if that's the module-based engine or if that's layers or if it's just because it's more current architecture. I don't know, and I don't know what innovations they're talking about. I just like the idea that they're thinking about the future here. And my hope is that Neo is the engine and the base that they build upon for many years to come. I don't know if that will be the case. I know some folks have expressed frustration about changing engines from Luminar 4 to Luminar AI to Neo, and I totally get that. It's fair to be frustrated about it. I'm excited that I hope that this engine is the one that they stick with. And the last couple of things, can you move your catalog over? At first they said no because it's a new engine, but now they're saying, hey, we've added this to the roadmap because they know it's important, and they expect to be able to include that in future updates, which I think is awesome because I still have a catalog in Luminar 4 and I have a catalog in Luminar AI. If I can move those over to Neo and make one new catalog that incorporates all those historic Luminar 4 and Luminar AI edits, which is the ideal thing for me, that would be Nirvana, I would be very happy. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know exactly what all will be covered, but this indicates that they are looking at it and they expect to hopefully do that in the future. Fingers crossed, my friends, fingers crossed. And the last thing, moving templates. They are providing utility to convert templates into Luminar Neo compatible format. So that's great. I've got a couple of template packs that are in the marketplace. I've got multiple templates I've made on my own, and being able to convert those to Neo, because I expect I'll be using Neo and not using Luminar AI nearly as much. I think I might use it some for basic, quick, super quick edits, but for Neo, I expect to do certainly all my creative stuff. I'm excited that my templates can be converted. And that's really it, my friends. I wanted to go through and answer some questions, talk about kind of what we expect from Luminar Neo, and just basically share what we know so far. Hope this is helpful. By all means, if you haven't yet, left a comment, if you have a question, please feel free to do so. And thanks for tuning in, my friends. I'll be back soon with more info. I think that I'm gonna have another briefing with them really soon, and therefore anything that I get that I can share, it'll be right here. So subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you in the next video, my friends. Take care of yourselves, and until then, adios.